The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hall of Fame, no opinions are the same. Lovely chocolate in the bin for the poll, who will win? Cream soda wrestling, dimple dick ranting, air fryer Brussels sprouts, Maxi often cheats. Hey yo, let's start the show. CWF are set to go. Many movies I won't know, such a fiasco. Max v Cy was pretty crap, probably won't go back to that. Max needs to wear a hat, and he sometimes cheats. Hogan is a liar, but Barry Windham is the
worst
thing. Hogan is a liar, hear all about it on Chain Wrestling.
Are you actually here? Are you actually here?
Here in all my glory, mate.
so not here at all.
No, not really. I'm literally like you, Magsy. It's so funny because you said that sneeze will come back and get you. Because I was fighting a sneeze right before we went live. It's right there. I can feel it. So I'm going to sneeze very soon. It's coming, mate. It's coming. Oh dear me. What's this? What's this Pod Farmer Mags World Media? Is that intentional on your part? There is it?
What does that mean? I haven't put anything like that.
Oh, I thought you were making some silly joke.
The sticker there. No. How dare you? I was making a silly joke. I'm a professional podcaster, god damn it.
Okay, I apologize. Hey yo, how are we all doing? It's good to be back at last. Fuck you, Virgin Media, you scumbags. My word, what a fucking up and down scenario with those bastards, Maxie. It's been a nightmare, hasn't it?
Well, not for me. My Virgin Media has been bandabinosa. I mean, I shared with you a picture on the day you were essentially ripping your hair out that I was getting like 500-600 meg download speeds.
Yeah.
And, you refused to reply because you're a very marred, jealous man.
Well, there is that. My internet, I'll be honest with you, 99% of the time, since we got the package we're on now, has been great. It's been really, really good. And then we had that one issue a couple of weeks back. I put that down to a one-off. Something can happen. They can have faults, whatever, can't they? Do you know what I mean? We did all the stuff they say to do, reboot this and do this and unplug that and all that fucking bullshit. And then the following week we went live. We were okay. And then it happened again, and I'm thinking, Jesus, man, people ain't going to believe me. They're going to think I'm telling fucking lies. They're going to think I'm telling fibs to not join in, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that because the excuses have got more and more ridiculous as the time have gone on.
Start this shit. I'm going to get really upset with you if you try and make out that I've been skipping chain wrestling.
Simon is a liar.
You bastard. So, I mean, I got so angry. So freaking angry that Tuesday night. Then it happened again to us Wednesday night. We weren't recording at the time or anything like that. Me and Sharon were just trying to watch something on the telly. And it happened again Wednesday night, and we lost our internet then. And then Thursday night, I was supposed to be recording with our friend Dan Griffin. And I thought, well, recording a podcast, you can get around that. If the internet drops in and out, you can edit it. A live show, different. I would be pulling my fucking hair out. I should really struggle to handle that. But the recording a podcast with Dan for the Doctor Who pod. I thought, yeah, we'll do that, right? Happened again. 8 o'clock, bang. It was like it was like back in the old days when the pubs on a Sunday would shut at midday or
Yeah.
whatever it was. It was like a certain time
And
of
you
night.
didn't
Bang,
know
that's enough
what to
internet
do
for
with
you.
yourself. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And we're
Oh.
so lost nowadays without the internet. I mean, if our internet goes down, it's literally all the TV channels go down.
Yeah.
Netflix goes down. We have to talk to each other, which who wants to do that in the big year 2025?
Wow. There we go, mate. There we go. So we ended up speaking with Virgin Media. I say speaking, I was
Yelling.
slightly I was agitated. Those who know me well know that when I get in that kind of frame of mind, I tend to. It takes a little bit to talk me down if I lose my temper to that level. They were going to send an engineer out to us to fix the problem.
Of course they were.
And then the day after, or maybe even the day after that, I'm not sure the timeline. I got a text saying your engineer appointment has been cancelled. Now, anyone who's tried to get hold of anyone from Virgin Media will know this is a nightmare. You can't speak to no fucker.
No.
It's all automated. Well, first of all, they say do it via the chat on their website. And
which you can't access because you didn't have the internet.
Exactly, right? So then you ring somebody and then it's all press this button for this button for this, and then you go through all these different auto cues and computer voices and whatever. And I just want to speak to someone. And then eventually you think you're getting through to somebody. They put you through to a department and then they go, oh, we can't help you right now. Sorry, we're incredibly busy. And fucking hang up on you. After 35 minutes on the phone of trying. So, of course, I'm getting more and more wound up. Eventually we get through to somebody and we get told the engineer appointment was actually been cancelled.
Brilliant.
Because it was a massive fault in the area. So everywhere around me was down, and they fixed it, and away it went. So, yeah, I mean, I can see that badly played video games in the chat saying that's why I'm with Sky. We had Sky. I wouldn't go back there, to be honest, through choice. The internet...
I mean, for Virgin Media's faults in this area, they are 100 times better than every other provider.
Oh, same here. And like I said, barring these issues I've had in the last, what would you say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Our internet's been pretty good.
Since Christmas,
it's fast,
really.
Since Christmas. Shut up, listen to you.
I think we've done less than 10 episodes this year.
Yeah, but a lot of that was down to illness, not the internet.
And just apathy. Your apathy for the podcast.
No, not at all, mate. Not at all. I enjoy my Tuesday.
I'm feeling hurt, to be fair, because every week you come with an excuse. Yeah, I'm here battling through, and then I'll get a message at 7:45. Oh, yeah, my internet's gone down.
Whoa. Hang on a second, dear, you shitbag. 7:45, my arse. Right? You're the only person I know who decides I'm not going to look at my mobile phone for 4 fucking hours.
I literally don't. It's sat there now, and I haven't touched it in about 4 hours.
The first time my internet went down and we had to postpone, and I was on my phone panicking because I couldn't get a message to you. I text, I WhatsApped, I think I rang. You fucking ignored that. I sent an email.
you sent me a voice note as well.
Yeah, I don't do voice notes either, Max. I feel very, very fortunate about that.
I scanned through it, really.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We've got another note here for badly played video games. Virgin Media is terrible UK-wide. It's not, though. I don't know what you're on about. Virgin Media's internet is actually incredibly good and most time very reliable. The volume of customers they have, they're naturally going to have issues. And trust me, I'm not here to defend Virgin Media. They've pissed me off a great deal. But 99% of the time for us, I can't fault
it's fine.
And you think how many people we have in this household, or previously in this household,
with internet devices.
Yeah, gaming, phones all going, stream. I could be doing this at the same time. Never an issue. The weather doesn't interfere with it, anything like that. There was just a problem with the box down the road that connects up all the houses.
But when there is an issue, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, and getting through to anyone. And then, of course, you get farmed out to other countries to try and speak to people. I'm not going to lie, right? My Indian ain't very good. Their English ain't very good. It makes it an incredibly difficult conversation to have.
Now, I'm shocked that you don't speak fluent Punjabi.
No. No, I don't.
I'm
I don't.
blown away.
Perhaps that's the problem with Virgin Media, that my language barrier is the issue.
Yes.
I just want to double check. I had a message there saying that my volume level is a bit low. Let me know in the chat, and Magsy as well, if that's the case. If I am a bit low, a bit quiet.
The lower, the better for me.
Oh, you're such a twat. I'll just mute myself.
I am sassy today. I am very sassy today.
Oh yeah. Okay, no worries. Well, with sassy Mags in mind, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, an SJP World Media production, episode 171. I am Sai, and with me as always, bear in mind it's a tag team special, okay? With me as always is the New Rockers to my new Blackjacks. Nothing with new in front works, Magsy, does it? Can you name a good tag team that starts that way?
Just anything new. Anything new is horrible. New Cork.
Yeah. The Road Warrior Heidenreich to my Demolition Crash. His face.
Get to fuck.
Look at your face.
This is the last podcast we're doing, folks, so enjoy this.
At least for a couple of weeks.
A
podcaster whose speciality is tag teaming. Just don't tell Mrs. Mags, because she's not always invited to those parties. Lord Mags, I've missed your lovely little round face.
Good. Do you know what I was laughing at just then? The fact that you were doing your intro and your cat was licking itself just over your shoulder.
That's an arsehole.
It probably was licking its arsehole, yeah.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, Hardenrat, a known Michael Cole sexual abuser.
You say that like that's a generic term, like, you know, like sexual abuser, child abuser, Michael Cole abuser. Does he get more than we realise?
Yeah, because he's part child, part man, isn't he?
Right.
And
okay.
It won't be the only time I mention sexual abuse in this episode, because later on we've got some very distressing chicken news.
Okay. Magsy, I don't know where you want to begin this week, because we're doing things a bit differently, aren't we? Our non-wrestling topic is
same as we normally would.
It's not really.
The difference is it's not a match; it's a discussion.
Well,
That's the only difference. Everything else is classic chain wrestling.
But then we've got our non-wrestling topic
is a wrestling topic.
Yeah, and then we've got another kind of listeners tweeting into the show topic of conversation as well. So yeah, we're talking about. Oh my god, have you forgotten everything that we discussed about this episode?
I mean, the minute I put my phone down, it's like a fresh wipe.
Right. Okay.
We discussed.
Where would you like to start, Max? Where would you like to start?
I mean, I'd like to know what's going on. So, what was the topic that we discussed?
Well, we asked everyone in the CWF. First of all, they had a non-wrestling topic question to answer, but we also said to them, "Let us know your favourite tag teams."
Well, so that's the one I've got up. Is that not the right one?
Well, the non-wrestling topic, we said about celebrities being in a tag team. Do you remember?
Right. Shall we? Well, seeing as I'll have to find that on the Twitter feed. So why don't we go through the tag team ones now? Seeing as I've got that page loaded up.
Or do you want to go through the chat first and see who's joined us? That's what we normally do.
We will do that. That's the sensible thing to do.
Go for it, mate.
So, firstly, King Pig's Bladders, how are you, sir? Brilliant. Sai is gone AWOL. His internet is playing up again. Where are you, Sai?
No. Internet's absolutely fine. I just stopped my camera because I was getting up to play around with my microphone to see if it was something I'd done behind there.
So you stop your microphone you stop your camera to play with your microphone?
Yeah, because if I stand up, everyone's just going to be straight into my bollocks. Look.
If they zoom in. Anyway,
Yeah, but at the same time,
hello,
wait till you
King.
get to see my sexy NWO shorts. How about that, eh? Look at
We
them bad
nearly
boys.
saw more than your sexy NWO shorts, good
Hey.
sir. Jesus. King Pigs Banners, tag you're it. No, tag size it, and there's no tag backs. Connor, hello, sir. How are you? He says, howdy, howdy. And then the first lady of the XJP World Media, I'm going to say Cedar Ref. I mean, she is essentially the first lady of the Cedar Ref and of the SJP World Media Network. Sharon says it's Tuesday night. You know what that means. Well, it's a toss-up whether it means anything nowadays. Let's see if next week we can make it 2 for 2. And then we have Matt. How are you, sir? Matt Lewis. Hope you're doing well. He says, hey, yo, missed you, lads. Yeah, and I have missed you lot. Sa has been, have I? Connor says, professional is a bit of a stretch there, Mags. I mean, yeah, it is. I don't know anyone else who could be podcasting for so long and get worse at it. So you are right. I am definitely not a professional, but good for Matt coming to my aid. Not this one. He says, good afternoon, but this one. He says, Connor, behave yourself. Mags has been podcasting longer than most, young man. Yes, but in this case, with experience does not come skill. I have coasted on the coattails of others, I would say.
Mate, don't sell yourself short, honestly.
Sharon says she has got photographic evidence of your internet going down. So I think what you should start doing, every time you have to miss an episode, you should bring a note from your missus. That
Fantastic.
Dear CWF, please excuse Sar as his clap was playing up. So I think you should start doing that from next time you have to scarf. Pigs Leaders, hello sir, how are you? And then badly played video games in 2 places as usual to help with the algorithm. See, that's what you all should do. Twitter and YouTube at the same time because you're amazing. And he's also says that is why I'm with Scar. I mean, we've gone through that. It's pretty good here. Or maybe I've been looking at Virgin Media is terrible UK wide. Again, I generally don't have a problem, but when it is a problem, it is very, very frustrating.
We had nothing but problems with Sky. Absolutely nothing but problems.
Yeah. I mean, Scar, the fastest we could get was about 56 megabytes, and with Virgin, we're on that gigabit internet, so it's night and day different. But he also says, should he be a dick to prove a point further? I mean, why change the habit of a lifetime? If you want to prove it, then go ahead, sir. Pigs Banner says your volume is absolutely fine. Badly played video game says still lower than usual, but audible. And then New Age Outlaws.
Okay. New Age Outlaws, Mags.
Oof. Red flag. Oh, I've got Matt attempting to ring me, allegedly. I'm not answering Matt, so...
Why would he ring you whilst you're on a live show that he is literally watching twice? He's watching it twice.
I have no idea. It's just mental. He might want to go 3 for 3, maybe. Anyway, let's carry on. He says, better than playing with his cock. Well, is it? I mean, how do you know Sar doesn't play with his cock whilst recording? No, he can't. He can't do 2 things at once. That was ridiculous.
Don't know about that.
Darren says Sar's got some pussy licking going on behind him. First time in a long time. Badly played video game says more pussy content, and then Sharon says, "Oh, she's gone." Pigs Banner says my Sky's been faultless for years, pretty much. I mean, I suppose you get good and bad with all of them.
Yeah. A lot will be where you live and all that sort of stuff as well, I suppose. But I imagine when everywhere has what Virgin Media have been rolling out, the new cables they're putting down and so on, it'll surpass everything else, won't it? Because it's just a different level, isn't it? It's an absolute different level.
So Matt rung me to prove I don't watch my phone, and then I proved that I did. And the only reason is because here is like this is my main monitor. Then here I have a second monitor, and then I have a clock, but it's a wireless phone charger. My phone essentially lives on that all day, so I could see it lighting up. Ordinarily, I would have just ignored it, but that's the chat all caught up with.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. I'm still playing around with my microphone. I'm more paranoid now. Look, I got the little sponge bit off. I'm all paranoid now that the sound's not right because I was set up a little bit different here. To when I bring my computer upstairs to play my old computer my old Windows 98 Championship Manager upstairs, it was proving to
But
be
you
absolutely
lump
appalling.
it upstairs every time you're playing it, or
no. When the baby stays over, because I'll be downstairs to play it on my desk and do my editing and whatnot downstairs. When the baby stays over, she currently stays in the front room with Sharon.
okay.
So I'll take my computer upstairs so then I can play it as late as I like and all that sort of stuff. I won't disturb the little one when she goes to bed and all that, But it's proving to be more and more of an issue. So I've bought a new monitor for up here and other bits and bobs. So I've only got to move the actual tower itself now rather than the whole thing, which is a pain in the ass. But because of that, I've got the monitor here, and it's fantastic, but it's quite a size, and I've not properly sorted out the layout for this tiny little space I'm using here. That's the walls there, effectively. You can see my thumb's just about in the picture.
Okay.
So trying to lay it out properly is a bit tricky. So this is not on its usual stand, so this feels incredibly close. Like it's like right close up to my face. So then I'm paranoid, so I lean backwards a little bit, which means I'm further away from the microphone. So it's weird. I can't quite get it right, Mags.
So why not just install Windows 95 onto your laptop, and then you can just have it?
No, I want it separate because my laptop I use for the editing and everything, and then I'll play my game on the I'll play my game on the monitor there. Let's see.
It saves you having to lump a big, heavy, old school PC upstairs every time you wanted to play on it.
Well, potentially, but again, my laptop's literally just for network stuff. I don't want anything else on here. This is all me.
Okay.
Everything's backed up on memory sticks and whatever, but everything on here is literally just for doing that. The amount of stuff I got to do, Max, editing and music for people's shows and all that sort of shit. I don't want other things on my laptop that aren't to do with the network. Look.
Yeah, but it'd be as a dual boot. So if you were as in editing mode, you wouldn't ever see any of that. It wouldn't be on your screen. And then when you turn it on again, you can load it to load Windows 95.
Oh my God. Oh, all right, whatever. Let's just move on.
So let's do this first non-wrestling tag team topic.
Yes, indeed. So for our tag team special this week, I think the big thing that everyone's waiting for really is to find out what we think of Cultaholic's 101 list.
Well, they can fucking wait.
And then when we put forward our top 10, because obviously people are going to disagree massively with the pair of us. But getting other people's mindsets on their favourite tag teams is quite an interesting thing to do, Magsy, looking at some of the shouts that we get.
Yeah, I love the debate and the different opinions on why each team or each topic, why people have different views. So yeah, it's really good to get all different feedback and viewpoints.
So we asked for your top 3 or favourite 3 or most influential 3, just 3 tag teams that mean a lot to you. And we got various different reasons for people liking these different teams. So I will read through them in the order I screenshotted them, really, which I think is the order we got them in. Who have you got first, Mags? Let's see who you get first.
We've got Chat, Grapple, and Cheap Pops.
Okay, let me have a look. Nope.
Great start.
Anyway, we will begin then with Dan Griffin at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. He says, Nash Boat, the most entertaining tag team in wrestling today.
Is that Kevin Nash and Tugboat?
Yeah, must be. Kevin Nash and Tugboat has to be. I imagine that's the tag team that wrestles at. What's the name of the company that Dan has a lot to do with now, and he does the bar for them and all that sort of stuff?
North, is it?
No, is it North or is it True Grit?
True Grit, yeah.
True Grit, yes. I imagine there's something to do with that. I don't know who. Oh, they might be on NXT because I don't watch that either. So,
It's Wing Commander Nash.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah, there we go. At number 2, the Brothers of Destruction. Can't help it. I'm a Kane mark, and Taker was mint.
Fair enough.
Okay. And at number 1, the Hardy Boys. Changed the game when I was younger, and then again with the Broken Universe. Okay. I imagine we will have some Hardy Boys chat later on, Mags, when we run through.
I mean, for what they've done for decades in the wrestling business, they are going to be high on pretty much everybody's list.
Or will they? Or will they? Suspense. At Rob, at UTT Rob on Twitter, he says, "The Outsiders, they changed the business."
Yep, absolutely.
Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks. Who doesn't like Heel Daddy? And their run and implosion is one of the biggest angles in wrestling. And then Beer Money, massively entertaining.
Massively. Absolutely massively entertaining.
Beer
Money. Sorry about
Chris.
your damn luck.
Yes. At Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter, he says, "Number 1 will always be the Steiners. 2, the Hollywood Blondes. Austin flying around compared to later in his career is a sight to behold."
It actually is. The 2 separate careers that he had as wrestler. It's like 2 different wrestlers totally.
Yes, indeed. And number 3, the Rockers, involved in the first WWE tag team match I saw in person, and also had one of the best breakups.
So tangent here. Tangent.
Okay.
So for some reason on my YouTube feed, a video came up from another podcast I'd never even heard of, a wrestling podcast, and they mentioned Marty Jannetty phoning in to their podcast.
Right,
now, he didn't actually phone into their.
To do that to us,
right. But he didn't actually phone in. What actually happened was one of these podcasts. I think it was called Monty and the Pharaohs. The podcast. One of these podcasters actually rung Marty and kept ringing him until he got an answer. Now, Marty has recently, fairly recently, had his own podcast called Party with Marty.
Yeah.
And they asked him why he'd fired his producer. So he'd had this producer, someone called Savage, and he fired him because he was gay. Yes, that was the answer that he gave.
He is.
He is. He's just a prick, isn't it? Anyway, that was
fucking dirtbag. Millwall Chris has given us an alternative top 3. Number 3, Scott and Rick Steiner. Number 2, Rick and Scott Steiner. And number 1, the Steiner brothers. You can see a bit of a theme developing there, can't you?
He also gave some honourable mentions.
He did. Yes, he did. Demolition, the Heart Foundation, the Midnight Express, Ireland Telly, Rock and Roll Express. Some great teams there.
Yeah, I mean, the issue I've got with that, and they are great teams, he's gave 8 teams. Why didn't he just round it off and give us 2 more honourable mentions? Then he could have just given us a top 10. He's stuck to 8, and I don't know why. It's annoying, actually.
And they're not listed, are they? They're just named.
Yeah, they're just thrown in willy-nilly.
Yeah, willy-nilly, indeed. At Chat Grapple Pops on Twitter, he says, whoever they are says, number 3, Enzo and Cass, what might have been.
I mean, I get they could have been huge and they were well on the way to it, but really your favourite tag team? Your favourite?
Hey, everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah, wrestling is a buffet.
Indeed. Another shout at number 2 for the Hollywood Blondes, taken away too soon. Very, very true. As an article written by a certain person says, if you go back and check it out, I'll post the link. And number 1, the Outsiders, cooler than the other side of the pillow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Go on
I
that.
mean, as a tag team, I could probably take them or leave them.
Yes, 100%.
But for what they, for the monumental shift in the wrestling business because of their actions, yeah, absolutely.
But that's not actions as a tag team, though, is it? There
No.
were singles guys in the WWF when they came over. It's not like groundbreaking stuff as a tag team. It's groundbreaking, if anything, as a storyline or a group, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, but they still, wrestling wouldn't be the way it is today without those two.
Oh, yeah, very true, very true. The magnificent Matt Lewis at the Matt Attack UK on Twitter, someone who has 2
Not
new
by
shows.
WhatsApp this time.
No, on Twitter as well. 2 new shows joining the network from Matt and his co-host Callum coming up. One entitled Chronic Callum, where episode 1 has already dropped, and it's talking about chronic illness and how people deal with it, and those people who live with people who suffer with chronic illness as well. The first episode featured a great deal upon those mentions anyway, conversations about type 1 diabetes and other people's issues as well, which is something very close to my heart because of my 2 nieces. Really, really good stuff. Matt's brilliant in what he does, as always. Connor's excellent as well. It seems like it's going to be a really, really good partnership. And then we also have the name escapes me, Matt. I apologise. I'll shout it out in the chat. But we have a wrestling podcast coming from the pair as well. So, yeah, keep your eyes out on the SJP World Media main feed for those. Matt says, at number 3, the Dudley Boys redefined tag team wrestling. I mean, they were fucking great.
The most decorated tag team in wrestling history. So, yeah, absolutely.
Number 2, the Usos, longest reigning of all team. Of all time, sorry.
That says Tam.
Yeah, that says time.
I've seen recently the Usos, and specifically Jey Uso, getting a lot of grief and kind of like their tag team prowess being diminished. But I think they have been absolutely trailblazers for the last decade. So yeah, I agree with that one, definitely.
Number 1, Mags and Sai. Yes, I'm creeping. I've got a new podcast to promote.
Called Cruise Control.
There we go. That's it. Cruise Control,
Yeet.
of course.
It did yeet 4 times.
Yeah. Chris Bellis at Real Chris Bellis on Twitter. He says, number 3, the Rock and Roll Express. Number 2, the Steiner Brothers. Number 1, the Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton iteration of the Midnight Express. 3 teams that I rate very, very highly.
They're going to be in your top 10 without a doubt.
Wow, there may be some surprises for you then.
Okay.
Chris says, all active at a time where tag team wrestling mattered and wasn't just about which of the 2 could be a breakaway star, though all 6 could work singles really well too. Yeah, there we go.
Absolutely. Great picks.
Indeed. Morty at MortyJR5 on Twitter, he says, Chronic. It's already off to a bad start, isn't it? Morty says, Chronic, Grandmaster Sexay and the Hip Hop Hippo, and Charlie Haas and Rico.
I mean, can't fault those picks. Morty has got exquisite taste.
Can't you? He does continue afterwards, though, Morty, saying, joking aside, as a kid, I did really enjoy the APA, so I'd probably have to put them over Chronic. Then probably the Revival, Stroke FTR, and Haas and Benjamin. Bloody love those guys. Yeah, Haas and Benjamin were fantastic, weren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe not together long enough to...
Team
really
Angle,
get,
or the world's greatest tag team.
Yeah. Indeed. Chris Mangor at Mangor_Chris, all the way from Ramsey Street, tweeting into the show from Australia. He says, number 3, the British Bulldogs. Bit of love for the Brits there from Australia, Magsy. I respect that.
Even
'Cause obviously
though,
that's where.
yeah, even though they hate us adamantly in Australia, but
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know why we colonised them, didn't we, by sending all our prisoners there? So
yeah, so they wouldn't be a country without us. They still
No,
have
they wouldn't.
bones through the noses.
Whoa, okay, let's move
I
on.
apologise. Oh, that was too far for even me.
Oh, that made me cringe a little bit, Maxine. It takes a lot to get that reaction from me. At number 2, the Steiners, and at number 1, the Road Warriors. There we go. I think they might turn up again later on at some point. At Connor Knows Footy on Twitter, he says the Hardy Boys, the Golden Lovers, Omega and Ibushi, in case you're unaware, Maxie, the Undisputed Era. Well, no, I know you're aware. Connor's put them in brackets in case we're unaware.
I appreciate that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't you aimed that at me as if I wouldn't know.
Well, I knew because I read it.
Yes, and I knew because I knew who they were.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up then.
That's a great pick as well. It's actually a banging shout. We are missing a lot of love for Japanese wrestling.
Indeed. And Connor rounds it off with Undisputed Era. Technically a trio, but Fish and O'Reilly were a tag team when Adam Cole was the singles star. And he says honorable mention to DIY and the Revival, now FTR, for their classic NXT matches before DIY split.
Yeah. And then reformed.
Yes.
2 great picks. A very modern set of picks, but still great nonetheless.
Well, I think this is what's going to be quite interesting, isn't it, as we run through these lists? And I say as we run through, we're nearly done. We've only got 1 or 2 left. It depends upon, I think, your age, what you've grown up with, but also, I suppose, what you've gone back and watched as well.
Yeah.
I like a lot of wrestling that I was too young to watch when it was first about, but I really appreciate it now. Whereas Connor's obviously much younger,
the days of
and he's
Gorgeous George and
not that fucking old, mate. Come on, bloody hell.
Abraham Lincoln.
Pigs and Bladders on Twitter. He says, well, he doesn't say. He sent us a picture. He sent us some pictures. The Midnight Express, the Steiner Brothers, and the Legion of Doom. And he says I could waffle on about the joy that those tag teams brought me growing up, and most of you will look at who I've chosen and know exactly why they get my vote.
Yeah, great classic tag teams.
Indeed. I think I'm done.
Yeah, I think that's all I had. Oh no, Andy Bang Bang podcast.
Oh shit, missed Andy. Sorry, Andy.
So he's picked Demolition, the Heart Foundation, and the Natural Disasters. And the Natural Disasters is actually the tag team that made me put this topic up for the vote because of how erroneously they were basically ejected from this list. They'd just been put in the Hall of Fame or announced that they're going in the Hall of Fame, and then this list came out and they weren't on the list, which I thought was just disgusting.
I mean, shall we have a quick chat about the list in general now? With regards,
well, no, because we've also got William Kitchen to cover as well.
Oh, okay. Well, do that then. I've not screenshotted that one. Apologies, William. Fucking, what is wrong with me?
So William Kitchen has put in number 3, the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. He said they made everything look good, psychologically sound, and were terrific talkers. Number 2, he's put the Road Warriors, big pops, bigger muscles, and sore faces for whoever they faced, game changing. And then number 1, he's put Eaton and Lane, innovative as hell with a magic mouthpiece. I mean, how can you fault any of his arguments? Just outstanding picks.
100%, mate. 100%. I think we've had some brilliant picks all round already, haven't we? Before we even dive into anything else. But this list that's inspired our tag team special, I suppose, from Cultaholic. I watched it over 3 separate, was it 3? Maybe 4 separate sittings, because I actually watched the first couple of bits of it on my lunch break at work. I I made a note. I listed the top 20, so I had that to hand as well. But you're right. There's some you look at and go, oh, of course. But then there's other teams you look at in this list and think, well, they should be higher, they should be lower. And again, it's all different people's opinions, of course. But what the criteria that comes into this selection process? They talk about longevity, and I can appreciate where they're coming from with that. Maybe that's what expels the natural disasters from the list potentially. They talk about impact, influence in the business, and so on. Which I suppose you could then talk about the outsiders because of the influence they had. But the way they opened up this list on YouTube and explained what they were looking for in a tag team, I think you could take those criterias, whether you take bits of it or all of it or whatever, and make any tag team eligible for that list. So when you see certain ones missing, yes, you can say, well, actually, they did say this, and twist, the intro to suit your mindset when talking about it. But there are some odd admissions, aren't there? And
Yeah,
again, and some
a lot.
odd inclusions. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously get to get into the nitty gritty of the tag teams that they've missed, but the criteria for picking teams, at some points they stick to them, and you think, "Yep, I appreciate the reasoning," and then there's other points where tag teams who were together for a cup of coffee or who did relatively little in the business are put in high positions above a tag team who were groundbreaking, and it. I mean, it's opinions, and it's quite easy to get that frustrated with people's opinions, and at the end of the day, this is one person or one group's opinion, and you're never going to please all of the people all the time. But when I dug into some of the teams that were missing, and then compared them to teams that they included in the list, I just don't get how a wrestling fan comes to that decision of who they left in and who they left out, knowing some of the huge tag teams that they clearly missed. I mean, a lot of them they may have forgotten, they may out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But it just, it's baffling. But it also provides an opportunity to have a good discussion about it.
You say that about out of sight, out of mind. There's the other side to that argument for me as well, in that there were various teams included, and you have to forgive me. I don't know the guy's name who was narrating the list, who was talking through the podcast.
Was Adam Pachita.
Okay, right. He would say quite often, with certain teams of a certain era, not much footage of them exists anymore. Which, with certain teams, okay, I can get, but other teams that they were talking about the influence of this team because they did this, this, and this in the 1950s. I'm thinking you have seen clips of these guys. There's no matches out there, or you've seen still, and you've read about them, which you can appreciate. It's other people's opinions saying they influenced tag wrestling because of this, this, and this. And it's an incredible shame that there's no footage of these guys available to review. But can you really include a tag team you've not watched yourself on a list of the best tag teams of all time? I find that's a bit of a grey area for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can, if that tag team has been so clearly influential in that you can, even though you didn't watch them at the time or you haven't watched much of their wrestling, you know that what they did was so influential that it's affected the wrestling that you have been able to watch. I think you can include teams that are historically very important, even if you haven't watched a lot of them. But it's just some of the choices are so out there. I mean, the first one that wound me up, and I know we're not even meant to be really covering this yet, but Private Party are in at 95. Now, Private Party are a great tag team, but are they in the greatest 100 tag teams when you go through some of the teams that have not been included? No, they're not. They're nowhere near as good. I mean, it's just, I mean, we'll get into it because I'm winding myself up about it now. But yeah, I think we have to appreciate that this is one man or one company's opinion. And it's hopefully going to lead to some conversation rather than getting frustrated about it.
Also, we did share the video, the link, and all that a few weeks back. It is a damn good watch, and I find it very informative. I liked hearing them talk about teams that I love and then teams that I'm unaware of. It was really, really informative, and I do like stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely worth. Don't watch it now, obviously, because we're far better. So keep with us and watch it later. I'll reshare it maybe tomorrow on my lunch break or something. Who knows? Magsy, should we dive quickly through the chat once again? Because we've got a few more comments and a newcomer, Mr. Benny Mac. Good evening, my friend.
We shall. Let me just go back to where we were. So, more pussy content, apparently. Oh, we've covered that one, didn't we? That's when your cat was licking itself out. Sharon says, if someone could fix our old laptop, that would be great. Yeah, fix your old laptop, install Windows 98 on that, and then you've got a portable.
Do you know what?
Championship manager gamer.
Can you install Windows 98 from the internet? Can you get it from the internet?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Because that hasn't got a disk drive on the old laptop.
Right, you only need the... I mean, you can make a bootable USB.
Okay. Interesting.
Brilliant. Or buy an old Windows 98 laptop for a tenner. Yeah, do that. It would be so simple.
I bought an old Windows 98 PC for 30 quid.
So you pay 3 times as much.
Computer?
Having the computer is fine. It's the back-breaking, lumping it up and downstairs when you want to play on it.
It's not back-breaking no more. I got used to it. Look at them guns. Fucking boom.
Oh, it's Hulk Hogan up in this bit. And then Matt comes with RAS, ORW, GPW, and then sits up.
Oh.
Then he says people wonder why I hate Marty Jannetty. Yeah, it was just so ridiculous.
No, nobody wonders why. Everyone's aware why everyone hates Marty Jannetty.
It was an arsehole.
Nobody ever wonders about that.
That took me down a little bit of a Marty rabbit hole because I wanted to see what this Party with Marty podcast was about. And I only started watching one episode, and it was one, I think he was sharing the recording of him and Buff Bagwell from Buff Bagwell's podcast. And he was talking about getting clean, and there was an issue recently that Buff found out that Marty had relapsed, and he tried to get hold of him to basically drag him to rehab and things like that. And then Marty was talking about going to this church where they had like an evangelical priest who does all the like heal kind of thing. And you could tell he's just not interested right now in getting healthy. He's just not. I mean, I hope he does. For as much as the guy's an arsehole, I hope he does get healthy and can get better. But yeah, he's not in that place yet. He's still a victim to his demons. Anyway, Pigs Bladders says Marty never fails to Jannetty himself. Yep, exactly. I mean, he's 65 years old now. 65 years old, and he's still Jannettying him. Pigs Bladders also says Big Cass has done fuck all of note since. Well, apparently he's meant to be doing not too bad in AEW, but I haven't really watched a lot of his stuff, but we'll see. Matt says, I appreciate Max and Sarah being awesome and having me on the network. Hey, not my doing. I've tried to veto it, but Sarah wouldn't take my answer.
Tried to veto it. Fuck me.
Matt, you are way better a podcaster than any of us. So you only would benefit the network. So absolutely not a problem. And then he yeets multiple times, like I've said. And then Connor, Pigbanner says, Connor will be happy you're covering Columbus Cruise. Then Matt said, ha ha, Connor does that very well on his own show. In other words, saying there'll be no fucking Columbus Crew talk on Cruise Control. We're not having that. And then he says it's called Cruise Control because Callum Cruise is actually Callum's ring name, which is, yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Pigs Banner says the Motor City Machine Guns were very close to his top three. Another great pick. And I think their stock is only going to rise with the wrestling that they're putting out in WWE. They've been absolutely brilliant. Connor says Callum Cruz is becoming one of my favorite indie stars. He's got talent and he's attractive. Well, there you go. He's win-win for you then, Connor. There you go, mate. Benny says, evening all. How are you, sir? I hope you're doing well. And then he's getting some love from Matt. Benny! Matt says, Connor, hands off my cousin. If Connor and Callum want to do the no pants dance, Matt, who are you to cock block your cousin?
Yeah. Who are you?
Benny Mac says, check out GOG.com for classics retro games. It's maybe on there. There you go then. Morte says, what's up, your tarts? What's up, our tarts? That doesn't make sense, Morte. But then he gets told right off by Pigs Banner says, shut up, you slag, Morte. I mean, yeah, we're all thinking that. And then Matt says he's very, very straight.
It's the ones that are extra straight that are probably not that straight. But anyway,
methinks he doth protest too much.
Indeed. Maxie, shall we have a look at our actual non-wrestling topic now then?
No. I mentioned something earlier, and I'd just like to throw it in right now.
Okay.
Chicken News with Mags, only on Chain Wrestling.
Yes, for the first time in a long while, got some chicken news. So
yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. So regular listeners to this will know that not only have I got chickens, I now have ducks, and they have been happily cohabiting. Never been a problem with them. Really, just very friendly towards each other. But the thing with ducks is, unlike chickens, you can't really have a group of female ducks without like a male, because they wouldn't produce any eggs. And the whole point is to get eggs. Whereas chickens, they'll just fire out eggs all day long without a rooster being there. So we've got one male duck. So he's one duck surrounded by 7 chickens and 3 females. And he's a very sexy duck. He likes to get his duck pussy. No qualms about going into like a corner of the coop. He's happy to ride that duck wherever he is. Now, having 3 ducks, you'd think he'd have all the duck snatch he could ever want. No.
Okay.
This duck is not only sexually promiscuous, he's also not bothered about doing interspecies relationships. He's speciesist, basically. He has been actively stalking one of the chickens. Now, it's not all of the chickens, it's one particular chicken. Okay. This chicken has been spurring his advances, pecking him when he comes towards her, So he's been getting more and more aggressive with his advances. He's not the kind of duck that takes no for an answer. So this duck has essentially been sexually abusing one of the chickens. Now, we've tried sectioning him off, but that really, it's only going to work so far, because eventually you've got to let him go back together and go in the coop. So what I've been doing is, when I've seen him try and assault this chicken, because what he does, he isolates her. He'll kind of like stalk her and push her away from the other chickens, and then he gets his head down low like a cat hunting its prey, and he'll start quacking and pecking at her with his bill, and then tries to do the no pants dance. So what I've been doing when I've caught him, I've sprayed him with the hose pipe, like you would with any animal that you want to kind of like get him to calm down. But the problem is, he's a duck, and ducks love water. So I think that's kind of like, it's encouraged him. He thinks that's a treat. So he's been doing it more and more, to the point where this chicken is now essentially terrified for her poor chicken life, because she's been sexually abused by a duck. So I may end up on next week's episode with some pancakes, spring onion and hoisin sauce, when I've wrung this duck's neck and cooked him in the oven, because he keeps chicken raping.
Bloody hell. If he was to have like a crossbreed bird,
so I've checked, they can't. They're incompatible. But what he can do is he can actually hurt the chicken like physically, because of the way his penis, because they have slits, don't they, birds, and then the penis comes out, and so we have to basically tell him, no, don't rape the chicken. He doesn't listen. He just runs off, and then 10 minutes later he's off to his rapey ways again.
I think that's a statement we can all live our lives by, Max. Don't rape the chicken. Dear me. We've had Mr. Morty join us in the chat as well. Hello, Mort. He's got a few more things to say there. He says he's surprised about a rapist duck story.
Didn't expect a story about a rapist duck when I clicked. See, we bring you the topics that matter. We could cover everything that has happened in the wrestling world, but no, this is way more interesting. And I'm already worried where this story is going. Is it going to be the origin of Aldi's bird in a bird in a bird? You mean a turducken? He could end up being a turducken if he carries on. I'm genuinely a turducken, which is a turkey stuffed with a duck, stuffed with a chicken.
Okay, I've never had
that. It's like a Christmas thing. But I genuinely thought today, should I just wring his neck and cook him? But obviously, I'm not going to do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. This is a wrestling podcast, by the way.
Benny Mac, get Bill Oddie quick. I mean, Bill Oddie may be into that kind of thing. The Artful Ducker.
The Artful Ducker. Oh, that's enough now. That's enough. Okay.
Keep those rapey jokes coming. Yeah.
No, don't. Don't do that.
Let's.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Non-wrestling topic time.
Good God Almighty, there will be no wrestling talk here. Business is about to pick up on chain wrestling. Side Lord Max, please cut it out.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Brilliant.
Doke then. So, our non-wrestling topic this week. I'm still having trouble with my microphone. I do apologise. Our non-wrestling topic this week was basically, again, more tag team talk, but with no actual wrestlers. We want tag teams formed from celebrities, soap stars, musicians, whatever. And then maybe you could name them. Maybe you could give them their entrance music, maybe their finish. Maybe you could tell us how they would do in their careers as a pro wrestling tag team. And once again, Magsy, the CWF did not disappoint, did it?
They didn't. I mean, they pull it out of the bag every single, well, I'd say every single week, but we're not here every week because things happen. But they pull it out every time we're available.
Indeed, indeed. I will begin on WhatsApp, Mags, actually.
Matt Lewis.
It is not. It is not. It is our good friend, Mr. Dan Griffin. He says, for the imaginary tag team on Chain Wrestling, Ned Flanders and Sean Coombs. Who's Sean Coombs?
Puff P. Diddy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I knew I recognised the name. Okay. Team name, Diddley Party.
That
does sound like something he would.
The Artful Diddlers.
Yes. Finisher would be the Roofie Drop. They would never win as Andre the Giant resurrected and chased them off, yelling, "No baby oil." I'll leave you to spring that on Mags, he says here.
Brilliant. What an arsehole. Yeah.
Oh, dear me.
P. Diddy. What an actual scumbag.
Yeah, bit of a wrong one. We have at Jimmy Evans for real, and he has sent us a GIF of his tag team, and that's Wario, and who's the purple one?
Waluigi.
Waluigi. Is that a thing? Yes, that sounds like you made that up.
No, it's called Waluigi. They're the evil counterparts of Mario and Luigi.
Oh, okay. I've heard of Wario. The other one, no idea.
That's Wario's evil brother, Waluigi.
Right. So there's two sets of brothers who both happen to be plumbers, who both go off on adventures in these worlds.
Well, they're good and bad. The kind of yin yang of plumbers.
Okay.
I don't think Mario and Luigi do much plumbing anymore. They're too busy saving the Mushroom Kingdom a lot, aren't they?
Yeah. And I suppose they make a lot of money from their merchandise and so on.
Yeah, go-karting. They do a lot of go-karting in the spare time.
Yeah, they could probably sublet their business out, couldn't they? They probably got Mario and Luigi's plumbing, but then it's some other guy turns up. You know?
Franchised.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And good luck to him, Mags, as well. Good luck to him. I mean, how old's Mario now? He's got to be coming up with retirement age, surely.
Well, people like him just don't know when to hang up the wrench, do they?
But you look at him, he's a heart attack waiting to happen, isn't he?
He's put some pounds on, as the lad.
He has indeed. Pigs Bladders, at Pigs Bladders on Twitter, he says his tag team would be Donald Trump and Natalie Cassidy.
But I mean, poor Natalie Cassidy being lumbered with that orange psychopath.
Oh, Sonia from EastEnders. Team name, the Orange Cassidy Fan Club.
Fair
Finisher
enough.
would be a PK and double basement dropkick. The catchphrase, we're going to make Orange Cassidy great again. And their career would be pretty useless all round.
I mean, Natalie Cassidy has been a mainstay in one of the longest running soaps in the history of the world. And Donald Trump is also a tosser.
Yes. I thought you were going to say Natalie Cassidy's been a mainstay in our non-wrestling topics, because she does pop up semi-regular, doesn't she?
Does she? I can't remember the last time Natalie Cassidy popped up in the non-wrestling topic.
What we need in this scenario is somebody who's listened to every episode of Chain Wrestling more than once and it genuinely loves the show. So, Steve-O, if you're out there, we love you to bits. How often has Natalie Cassidy popped up on a Chain Wrestling episode?
I think Steve-O should bring us a Cassidyometer. So every time that she's mentioned, a bell goes off and it has a counter.
The thing is, though, if that's the case, I think that it'll have an adverse effect because we'll naturally start mentioning her more, knowing we've got a sound effect.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would because I'm absolutely childish like that.
So we wouldn't get a fair reading, would we, really?
No.
It would
maybe he could keep it on his Twitter.
Okay, yeah, okay. No explanation at all to any other followers he has. It's from the FPL world as well, because he does very well on that aspect, doesn't he, with his own shows and that. No explanation. Just whenever Natalie Cassidy is mentioned on Chain Wrestling, just a picture of her tweeted out.
And a number.
No caption. No, just a picture. That's it. And we wonder how long it'll be before his
or a different picture, not the same picture, like a different one from a different scene of EastEnders.
Yeah, gotta be a different picture. 100%. Yeah. I wonder how long it'll be before his FPL crowd start going, "Are you all right, mate?"
I think they say that on the regular, to be quite fair.
Chat Grapple and Cheap Pops at Chat Grapple Pops on Twitter. They say Eddie Hall and Ross Kemp with Warwick Davis as manager.
What a manager he'd be. What an absolute legend of a manager Warwick Davis would be.
Endless possibilities with that power and charisma, he says.
Ross Kemp, does he have charisma? What's he bringing to that party?
He's just a big, bold, scary-looking dude, isn't he?
But you've got Eddie Hall, who is infinitely more scary-looking than Ross Kemp could ever be.
Fair point.
So what actually does Ross Kemp bring to that, apart from like hiding in a war zone with his little blue helmet on?
What, was he cold?
No, a blue helmet like, don't attack me, I'm press. Don't attack me. I'm a journalist.
Perhaps he could carry Warwick Davis in a cage, like Eric Rowan had that spider. Do you remember?
How degrading for poor living legend Warwick Davis to be carried by Ross Kemp.
Yeah. Got to beat walking though, isn't it? Surely.
Well, yeah. It could give him a piggyback. Kind of like, if you remember Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, where they had that big lump and then the little kid who was controlling him.
Yeah.
You've never seen it, have you? You've never seen Mad Max?
Yes, I have. That's got Tina Turner in it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It's a good film.
It is. Great film.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But it could be like that.
Yeah, but could you give Warwick Davis... I'm not trying to be funny now. I'm not trying to, upset people or anything like that or whatever. No one take offense, please. But could you give Warwick Davis a piggyback? Because you've got to be able to grab his legs. Are his legs long enough to go round with Ross Kemp?
Then just buy a papoose where he could sit in the front.
Okay. Yeah, sit in the front. Yeah, there you go. He could give directions then. Can he, like a proper manager?
Hit him. Duck. He's coming close, lad. He could take the brunt of their shots as well.
This is a brand new TV show. You could blindfold Ross Kemp, put Warwick Davis in a little baby carrier thing at the front, and he's got to direct Ross Kemp through his day.
And then in a match against Gunter, he could take a chop and he'd absorb the blow, wouldn't he? So Ross wouldn't feel the pain of being chopped by Gunter, but yet Warwick Davis's head would be absolutely caved in.
Yeah, this is true. God, we're so creative. We should have our own TV network, really. The shows that would be on
we
there.
Definitely should not.
Imagine that. The shows we could have on there. Chris Mangor, again, all the way from Ramsey Street at Mangle_Chris on Twitter. And he says, I think the obvious answer is Alf Flaming Glass. Oh, he's done it, hasn't he? He's played along with the Australian thing. Oh, I love you so much. Go
on, Chris.
It's only took 100 fucking episodes, but fair play, mate. The obvious answer is Alf Flaming Galar Stewart from Home and Away and Harold Jellybelly Bishop of Neighbours. In their primes, e.g. early 60s, they could have been the new Road Warriors.
I mean, surely they'd be the new Bushwhackers being from around that area. Can you imagine that? The Bushwhackers versus Alf and Harold in a tag team match? That'd be awesome.
Is he still alive, the bloke who played Alf?
I have no idea. Would you like me to check?
Yeah, because that's the kind of thing that's going to bother me if I don't know. The guy who plays Harold is still alive because he's only just left Neighbours, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he left a long time ago when he
forgot who he was.
Yeah. Well, he did he fall into the ocean and they thought he was dead.
Yeah, and then Madge found his glasses and did some of the most horrific screaming, crying you've ever seen in your life.
So he's still alive. He's 80 years old.
Alf?
He's a guy called Ray Meager, and he's one of the longest, or he's the longest continuing performer in an Australian television role. He's been Alf Stewart since the very first episode of Home and Away in 1988.
Fair play.
So he's put in he's paid his dues. It's about time he got his fucking flowers. 80 years old. Jesus.
Put some respect on
well
his
played,
name.
Alf. Yeah.
Well played, Alf. Chris Mangle also says Boris Johnson and Donald Trump. I mean, who wouldn't pay to see them get?
I mean, that's literally a wanker, and then a wanker that you've bought from Temu, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, but it works from a heel aspect because you would pay to see them get the shit kicked out of them, wouldn't you?
I would happily pay multiple times. I'd pay current WWE prices, and that's how committed I would be.
There we go. There we go. Connor Knows Footy on Twitter. He says, "Here's a faction I would build using footballers: Martin Odegaard, Harry Kane, Gregor Kobel. He's a big goalkeeper, so you need the muscle in the group, apparently. And Cole Palmer. Kane would be the singles champion. Kobel would be the enforcer. Odegaard and Palmer would be tag team champions. Kane would be the singles champion, and Kobel. Oh, hang on. The finisher would be the North London Transit, basically a group of power bombs when the ref is distracted.
And catchphrase: "We win, mate."
Oh yeah, there you go. Gave us
Great
a
picks.
stable there, man.
I think Cole Palmer and Martin Odegaard don't seem to have a lot of charisma. I mean, all Cole Palmer talks about is chippy chips. So, but
have you ever
super talented though.
Cole Palmer is like the saddest looking person in the world, isn't he?
What do you mean?
That haircut, the way he carries himself. It's like, come on, mate. Just wake yourself up a little bit. Do you know, you're a professional footballer, you're making all that money, and he just constantly looks like, oh.
I think he looks part stoner and part simple.
Okay. Well, that's all.
Do you not think?
Actually.
Oh, okay. So that's
I'll
some
go
great
along
picks.
with what you said. I agreed.
Agreed by not agreeing at all.
Oh, okay. There you go. That was everything. Should we scan through the chat? Because I think Mr. Benny Mac's chat went in there, hasn't he?
We shall. So, Natalie Cassidy does a podcast, I believe now. Yes, she's not long, or I don't know if she's she left EastEnders by now. I think she might have.
What, again?
No, but this time she's gone and she's not coming back.
Is she dead in EastEnders?
No, they haven't killed her off, I don't think. But
she said
she just wants to take on new challenges now. So she does. I mean, who doesn't do a podcast now? Every fucker does a podcast. Literally everyone. But yeah, good luck to her. I don't mind Natalie Cassidy.
When they leave, oh no, I've seen it on like Sharon will tell me what show it is in the chat. One of those panel shows, like the comment, like never mind the Buzzcocks, it might have been something like that. And she was really good on it. But they all say, don't they? I'm going to find new roles. It never works out, and then they always come back, even if they've been killed off. They find a way.
I mean, yeah, Dirty Den certainly found a way, and he was shot. But anyway, Benny Mac says Joey from Friends and Barney from How I Met Your Mother. Tag team, the Legendaries, their finisher can be called Wait For It, which Barney does a super kick. Then Joey hits the How You Doing, which could be a cutter.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've ever watched How I Met Your Mother, but I know it had a horrific ending. But Barney's he's the actor who made a massive comeback in his career. What's he called? He has 3 names.
He was Doogie Howser, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Dougie Howser. He was also in
Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah, because he made his big comeback in Harold and Kumar, didn't he?
And he was in Doctor Who as well recently. Really good. Really good in Doctor Who. He was a baddie in it, and he was brilliant.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to review that episode on the Doctor Who pod?
I imagine we might get to it at some point.
Depends who the Doctor was, though. If it's the current Doctor, you're probably never going to talk about him again, are you?
Well, no, we've reviewed a few of his. I'm a little scathing, shall we say?
You had a little bit of sick coming up when you were talking about him.
That was a David Tennant episode with Neil Patrick Harris. But when Tennant came back, so he'd left and then he came back. So
okay. Cool. So if you want to hear about that, tune into the Doctor Who podcast on this very network.
Every Monday, mate. Every Monday.
Yeah, every Monday, without fail.
Every Monday.
Not like this show where it could be on, might not be. At least that one, they're pre-recorded, so they're in the can already.
Yes, they are. We're about a month ahead now, actually.
Even though you've been scarving a lot.
There you go. What can I say? I like talking to Dan more than you.
Shall we? I like talking to Dan more than I like talking to me, so that's absolutely fine. Shall we discuss some tag teams now?
Let's do it, mate. I'm excited.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okie dokie. Okie dokie. We are looking at the Cultaholic 101 greatest ever tag teams list. And then we're putting together our own top 10s. And we're just generally having a discussion on tag teams. What makes a great tag team? What makes a shit tag team? Some great tag team moments, potentially. There's a lot going on, Magsy, with this list, isn't there?
There is.
Where would you like to begin, buddy? Where would you like to begin?
I think what we should do is go through each 10. That we'll say who the 10, so from 101 to 90. And then if we have any comments or issues with any of them, maybe we can just talk about them and then move on.
Yeah, sounds good.
So we'll start at 101, which it doesn't get off to the best of starts because I would have thought that this tag team should have been way higher, but it's 101 is the Powers of Pain. And then 100 is Dream Team, which is Greg Valentine and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Then we have the Major Players, which was Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Dynamic Duo, one that I had very little knowledge of, which was Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez.
That's more. That's quite in my wheelhouse. That is. That's yeah.
Then 97 was the Moondogs, and this specified it was Rex and Spot. I think there must have been other Moondogs. 96 is the Eliminators from ECW, so that's Perry Saturn and Cronus. I think it was John Cronus. 95, the one that really kind of started the whole ball rolling about bringing this up as a topic, Private Party. 94, Mr. Fuji and Toru Tanaka. I think he was called Professor Tanaka. 93, the Killer Bees. It was that Brian B. Blair and some other guy.
Oh, Brian. Bollocks. What's his name?
Bruce
God,
Bogtrotter.
certainly. That's
But
the
it was
one.
him.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
92 was the Texas Outlaws, which is Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch. 91, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And then 1990, but 90 was Owen and the British Bulldogs. So any out there that jump out at you, should they be there? Should they be higher?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because again, there's so many teams we're going to discuss, so it's very, very difficult to sort of dive into everything in detail because we'll be here till fucking midnight. But the Dream Team, the most thing I know about them was them getting beat at WrestleMania 2 by the Bulldogs.
I think they were tag team champions, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They held it for a long time. It was the Bulldogs who took it off them at WrestMania 2.
But it was at the point when,
good.
Yeah, there was a point when tag teams meant very little.
Yeah.
In WWF.
Yes. Private Party, I think, like you said, I don't understand why they're quite on. I don't know. Maybe this is my age and the way I like my wrestling, but I enjoyed Private Party when I first saw them, but they very quickly became just like everybody else on AEW.
Yeah, and then they ended up breaking up without winning a title and then reforming. They had the whole thing with the Matt Hardy family.
Yes, yeah.
And again, this is nothing against Private Party. They are a really, really good couple of wrestlers. But when you look at some of the things that other teams have achieved and not made this list, it's a bit jarring seeing them on there. But I think in the higher, the lower down the list we are, there's less room to be frustrated with a team being in that position, because it's only when you get to the higher points you think, why is this team here when such and such a team should be in the top 10 or such and such a team should be in the top 20. Here, there's always the wiggle room of it's this person's opinion.
Of course.
So I don't have much. I mean, I don't know anything about the dynamic duo, to be fair. The Moondogs, not really my thing.
They're an odd one for me because the dynamic. I mean, Gino Hernandez and Chris Adams in world class in Texas were great, brilliant heel team, crazy levels of heat they could get into, because of course naturally they were heels, so they're going up against the Von Erich, so the heat they would draw would be insane. But that was in Texas, so that was world class. Or they might wrestle for Houston. It wasn't an international thing, and it wasn't even a national thing.
And even on the video, Adam says that they weren't even together that long for a team. So within 4 picks, he's kind of like dismissing some of his own rules for why he picks the teams that he picked. And I get not all the rules are going to apply equally to each tag team, because there's some tag teams that did a lot in a very short time. There's other tag teams that have got longevity and they'll get on the list for that. But it just felt, I didn't know who they were. And now that you explain a little bit more, it's another one that, are they teams that maybe deserve to be on the list more than they do?
I think so. Again, I'm not taking away from the pair of them. They were. I mean, they're both no longer with us. Fantastic heels. Lived the gimmicks, which is the way you had to do back then in the territory wrestling in the mid-80s. You had to live the gimmick, because you might go to the shop and there's half of your wrestling crowd waiting at the co-op whilst you're buying your milk. You have to live the gimmick, and both very talented. But yeah, on a 101 tag teams list of all time, it's a bit of an odd one for me.
Yeah. So, any other issues with any more of them?
No, not really, mate.
Okay.
It is what it is. Like I said, this low in the list is difficult to say, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's go down to the next lot. So we've got 89 Soul Patrol, which I actually thought would have been maybe a little bit higher, but we'll get into why later on. 88 is DX, which is they labeled as Triple H and Shawn Michaels. 87, Too Cool. 86, the Bludgeon Brothers. 85, the American Wolves. 84, the Call-Offs. 83, La Perea Atomica, which was Gory Guerrero and El Santo. 82, Sergeant Slaughter and Don Canordal. And I dare say you know more about them than I ever will. And then 81,
masses, mate, no.
Bad Influence, which was Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels.
Yeah. The one for me here is the Bludgeon Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Were they that big a deal?
I mean,
Do they deserve...
two really good wrestlers. I mean, but they were together for such a short time, and they were more involved with the Wyatts as a group than they were on their own. I know they had a little run after the Wyatts had kind of split up, but they weren't together too long. And what makes it more egregious that they're where they are on the list is if you look at the two that go before them, you've got DX, who they've been so influential in the wrestling business, and then you've got Too Cool, who were arguably one of the hottest commodities in their era of wrestling. For two people just thrown together, they got some of the biggest pops from the crowd. So it's interesting that they're two really popular teams come in lower than the Bludgeon Brothers, which it kind of just doesn't make sense.
I'd go one step further than that as well. I'm totally with you on Too Cool, 100% with you on DX. I don't understand how the Bludgeon Brothers are above DX. That's just fucking nonsense. But the Soul Patrol as well, weren't they the first African Americans to win gold in the WWE?
Yeah.
So surely they are surely they're more influential. Sorry, just for that fact alone, than two guys with beards who carry fucking hammers around.
Yeah,
sure,
exactly. And again, this is not a slight on the teams that have been picked. It just feels that they've been overrated for me.
Yeah.
So Sergeant Slaughter and Don Canordal. Then who is Don Canordal?
I don't know masses about.
Have we not had something about this on the podcast before? Is it where Sergeant Slaughter was putting him through a training regime?
No, that was that was Vern Gagne, wasn't it? He was doing that.
Yes, it was. Yes. Was it not Greg? It was Greg, weren't it?
Greg, Greg, not Vern. So of course it wasn't Vern.
Yes. I remember that. So that team isn't on.
Well, yeah. That team there, Slaughter and Canodal, that was trying to get over a young talent by putting them with the established guy.
Yeah.
But I don't even think they, again, I could be completely wrong off the top of my head here, but I don't even think they were around too long because Slaughter left the territory, I think.
To go to WWF.
Because he could earn more. Yeah, he could earn more money. Was it WWF he went to, was it?
Or was it the AWA?
It may have been AWA first. Yeah, but I know he went somewhere because they had a better TV deal, which meant more fucking money. So it's another
I think some of the more classic picks or the older picks, they feel like they've been thrown in just so it's not all modern day wrestling.
Oh, you're 100% right. You're spot on with that, Mags.
Yeah. So anyway, let's carry on with the list. So at number 80, the Street Profits, which I actually think that's a decent place for them because their careers are nowhere near over yet, are they? And they've still got a lot of legs in that. Then we've got 79, the Fabulous Rougeaus. 78, Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis. 77 is Doom. 76 is the Fantastics. 75, RVD and Sabu. 74 was Eminem. 73, Public Enemy. 72 was Los Guerreros del Infierno, which is Ultimo Guerrero and Rey Bucanero. And then 71 was Team Hell No.
Okay. Straight off the bat, the one that stands out for me is the Fantastics. I love the Fantastics. Absolutely fucking brilliant. Bell to bell, these guys are bloody superb. They could have been the Rock and Roll Express if they had personalities.
Yeah.
That was the biggest issue. If you're talking just wrestling alone, the Fantastics could be 30 places higher, but they didn't have the whole package, which was a real shame. It was a real shame. And the Rougeos, I loved the Rougeos, man. The Rougeos are so good.
Yeah, such a great shithead heel team.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, when they were pretending to be lovers of America and flying the little American flags. Yeah, great team. Great wrestlers as well.
Entrance theme as well. What an entrance theme.
I don't know how I feel about Team Hell No being so high up, because I mean, again, two great wrestlers, but they weren't around for that long, and it was essentially a tag team to build a storyline, which I mean, we'll get into one that really boils my piss later on, which is kind of the same thing. But would you put that team like the Fantastics lower than a team like Team Hell No?
Absolutely not.
The call-offs. I mean, the call-offs, absolutely huge. A groundbreaking heel team like they drew nuclear heat. Would you put that Team Hell No over them? I don't know.
I think you look at Team Hell No and people remember the funny little vignettes and the segments backstage with and that's why people remember them fondly. But that's not enough for me to be above a team like the Rougeos, a team like Doom. Doom was superb, man. They were so good.
Yeah. So that they would. I don't think that they'd even make it in for me, and like especially when after we go through the list and we go through just some of the tag teams that didn't get included. I don't think Team Hell No would make my top 100 anyway, even though, again, two great wrestlers. But let's go from 70 to 61. So we've got Money Inc. at 70, 69 Homicide and Hernandez, 68 American Alpha, 67 Rated RKO, 66 Morrison and The Miz, 65 America's Most Wanted, 64 is Strike Force, 63 is the original Sheik and Abdullah the Butcher. 62 is the Brotherhood, which is essentially Cody and Dustin Rhodes. And then 61, the Kings of Wrestling, which is Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli.
See, there's a lot of good tag teams in there, of course, and we're going to get this more and more, aren't we? The lower down the list we get, I'd imagine, much better tag teams. Naturally, is the way it's going to work. But Money Inc., I really enjoyed what they did in an era when I think the tag team roster was starting to dwindle down. They did a good job holding it together. Their feud to the Natural Disasters and the Steiners were knocking about then as well. I think they left in '93, didn't they? I mean, I don't quite get the Brotherhood.
No,
Were they
I mean,
really about as a tag team long enough to justify being above some of these very established units that you've already mentioned, Mags?
Yeah, they did a little bit with when Cody and Goldust, and then Cody transitioned to Stardust, which everybody absolutely shits on from a great heart. So how does that translate into being one of the best tag teams in the world? And again, two great wrestlers, but did they have the longevity? Did they have the accomplishments of some of the teams that we've already gone through? Not really for me. But I don't have a lot of issues with this 10. Rated RKO, maybe because again it's a tag team that is formed to encapsulate a storyline, and I don't really like including them. It would be like including Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold as one of the greatest tag teams because they had a storyline. But I don't think there's any of them that are
We lost your audio there, Magsy, I think. Is it just me that can't hear Mags, or? You've muted now. I can't. People in the chat, give us a shout. Can you hear Mags?
Is that better?
There you go. You're back. Okay, brilliant stuff.
I don't know what happened then. So yeah, basically, I've no issues with these 10. We're getting to the point where we're probably going to find a little bit more frustration with the picks that are coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, some great tag teams there. I'm not a big lover of the storyline tag teams. If
I can get that.
So let's now go from 60 to 51. So we've got Paul London and Brian Kendrick at 60. We've got the APA at 59. 58, we've got DIY. 57, the Hollywood Blondes. 56, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. 55, Eddie and Chavo, Los Guerreros. 54, Beer Money Inc. 53, the Can-Am Express, or Furnace and LaFon as they were known in WWF. 52, the world's greatest tag team. And then 51, the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Again, there's so much talent there, isn't there? I'm glad to see London and Kendrick on the list because I really enjoyed that little run they had. I really, really enjoyed it.
Were they the first SmackDown champions or something like that?
No.
They were a great little tag team.
I don't know.
I'm surprised that DIY made it so high. Not that I don't love DIY, but they were formed when both wrestlers came to NXT. So it's a relatively new tag team. And they've had points where they've spent long periods feuding against each other, and then not even having anything to do with each other, and then obviously being reformed back on the main roster. So it's another team where I don't think they've done enough to warrant being in the position that they're in, but they are a great tag team.
Okay. Where do we stand on longevity then? Because the Hollywood Blondes, fantastic, but they were only around, what, 11 months?
I was going to say less than a year.
Yeah, so that's, but again, what defines it really? Because you could argue that that's two singles guys thrown together with Pillman and Austin, but they had a name, they had matching ring gear. Is that what defines them from something like?
It wasn't just for a storyline; it was to actually form a tag team.
Okay,
I think it's so hard to say what warrants a tag team being included when there's so many defining factors. And the fact that we still now talk about the Hollywood Blondes, despite them being together less than a year, it kind of elevates them to being in the conversation, I think. And the fact that they were both great wrestlers only kind of adds to that.
Yeah.
And they won gold. They accomplished quite a lot in that short time that they were together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think I've got much problem. I don't know a lot about the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov as a team. The Can-Am Express outside the WWF Furnace and LaFon, which for their short run in the WWF together were superb, like genuinely a highlight of that woeful era of WWF wrestling. There was a massive highlight. Beer Money, I think if they were in a bigger company than TNA, they probably would have been higher on the list. But then again, Robert Roode is been in another tag team that doesn't even get mentioned in this list. So and that was in the WWF. So, again, not any major problems with it.
Sheik and Volkov, you're looking at WrestleMania 1, aren't you? As the big standout for them when Wyndham and Rotunda won the tag titles. And then they dropped them back to Sheik and Volkov, I think, didn't they? So you're talking around 84 was their biggest, probably their prime time run.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on a great deal of it, Maxie, to be fair.
So let's go to 50 then. We've got the Cosmic Cowboys. That's Kevin and Kerry Von Erich. 49, Lex Luger and Sting. 48, the Lucha Brothers. 47, The Bar. 46, Masato Yoshino and Naruki Doi. 45, the Mega Powers. 44, Kenta Kobashi and Mitsuharu Misawa. 43, the Outsiders. 42, the Brothers of Destruction. And 41, the Bushwhackers. So one of these is very glaring for me. And it's arguably the two biggest stars in wrestling at that time. I don't think the Mega Powers should be on this list.
Okay.
I
get you're right.
I get that it's Savage. I get that it's Hogan. I get that they were two of the biggest wrestlers of their era, two of the biggest wrestlers in the history of the business. But they wrestled together, I think, 5 times.
There was SummerSlam 88, wasn't there? They main evented. There was definitely a Saturday night's main event they tagged on. I can't think of any more, Mags, to be honest.
So I checked Cage Match, and I think it's 5 times that they wrestled together. That to me is exactly why I dislike tag teams for a storyline being included. Yep. The storyline is brilliant. The explosion of the Mega Powers and Hogan and his dastardly ways and all that. I get it. It's a brilliant story. But as a tag team, no, I don't think they should be on this list.
No, 100% agree with you, Max. 100% agree. And again, we talk about longevity with the Hollywood Blondes. It's completely the opposite scenario here, isn't it? In that short period they were together, they wrestled every week. They had they were put together and were a tag team. These are 2 singles guys building to a story, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the fact that they're in the top 50 above so many others that we've discussed already and may not even make the list is nonsense for me.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go to the top 40 again, to the nitty gritty now. So at 40 we've got the Crusher and Dick the Bruiser. 39, La Pareja del Terror, which was Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr. 38 was Antonino Rocca and Miguel Perez. 37, Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson. 36, the Rockers. 35, Motor City Machine Guns. 34 was Miracle Violence Connection, which was Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy. 33 was the Fabulous Ones. 32 was Tenkoji, which is Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima. And 31 was the New Age Outlaws.
Right. Straight off the bat, I'm going to upset people now. New Age Outlaws, brilliant at what they did. But match quality wasn't great. And I feel the tag team scene around that time, it felt like, because this is before we get into the Dudleys and the Hardys and all that, isn't it? Not long before that. It felt like lots of singles guys put together to see what sticks. Now that worked. They were put together and it stuck. And they probably held the tag division together for a while. But even with that being said, I never quite got the hype. I thought they were great as part of DX, very charismatic. But in ring, I can't remember a great match of this.
I can't really remember a great feud that they had. I mean, even
Foley, maybe.
Yeah, but was it a great feud, or was it just them beating up two old timers to get over?
Dare we say they're overrated, Mags?
I mean, the thing is, they made the best of what was a bad situation. I mean, you had Rockabilly and the Road Dog Jesse James kind of floating, kind of essentially being on the cusp of being released, and then they were thrown together and they made it work. So give them props for that, and they won a lot of tag team titles. But it was at a time when, like you said, it was thrown together tag teams rather than a genuine tag team division.
A great division, was it?
No, exactly. So, yeah, I think that may be a little bit of they're getting the rub from being part of DX rather than being a tag team of their own route.
And the catchphrases, let's be honest.
Yeah, which Attitude Era was all about. The wrestling was a lot of the time almost irrelevant. It was about the catchphrases and the characters and things like that. So I think they would be on the list for me, but perhaps lower down, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And also, I just want to quickly shout out to people listening on the podcast version later in the week when this is released, and of course live now. Thank you first of all for joining us. Magsy and I are commenting on certain teams in this list. I don't know if Magsy's doing the same, but I'm purposely avoiding talking about certain teams because they might feature in my top 10 in a moment, and I want to give a bit more a thing when we talk about it then, I guess. So.
Okay, that's fair. But a lot of the teams in this 10, I don't know that much about. The Miracle Violence connection. I know the two separate wrestlers. Not even aware that they were a tag team.
Yeah, they did brilliant stuff in Japan, and they did some stuff in WCW, but the money in Japan was much better. So
yeah. Then we've got Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr. Now I know Art Barr passed away, didn't he? So that team kind of like ended quite quickly, and they didn't even like each other at first. They were essentially thrown together, but a lot of these were not in my era of wrestling, and to my shame, I've not really gone back and checked a lot of it. But yeah, let's get on to the top 30. So we've got at 30, Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody. 29, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. 28, The Revival, FTR. 27, The Nasty Boys. 26, The Wild Samoans. 25 is the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. 24 is the Funk, so that's Terry and Dory Jr. 23 is the Assassins. 22, the Fabulous Kangaroos. And then 21, Harlem Heat.
Okay, interesting. Before we dive into that, Magsy, very quickly, comment here from Mr. Benny Mac in the chat. He says, see, would we be talking about the Hollywood Blondes if Steve and Brian didn't have good singles careers? Yes. Simple as that. That they go back and watch their matches, go back and watch their stuff with Flair and Arn Anderson.
Yep.
Absolutely. They proper invested into that gimmick and they were superb. Absolutely. Yeah. That is what a great tag team should be. They were so good in those. If they were both retired after their last match as a team, they would still be getting talked about today as a team.
Yeah, and they fully invested in it as well. Even though it was a thrown together team to just get two single wrestlers some screen time, they made it work. So yeah, I think that they are definitely deserving to be on this list. But
100%.
In these ones, I'm surprised that Nasty Boys are so high. And then in the same breath, I'm not, because of the longevity. They essentially traveled the world, but they weren't great wrestlers, were they?
Mate, anyone who's listened to an episode of Nitro Nights knows my thoughts on the Nasty Boys. I fucking hate the Nasty Boys. I can't get on with them at all. If they were at number 227, they'd be too fucking high for me. I just can't get involved. I can't do it. I can't. No, just no for me.
That's bringing in very personal bias, I must admit. But you can't deny everywhere they went, they won gold and they were high up on the card.
Yeah, because they were mates of Hogan.
It's not who you know, it's who you blow.
There we go. Or whose blow you carry through the airport.
So the Assassins, I don't know anything about them.
They were masked wrestlers, weren't they? The Assassins, I think. They both wore masks. I can't tell you masses more than that, I'm afraid, so.
And the Fabulous Kangaroos, for a team so high, I assume that they were very influential. I can't say I've ever heard of them.
No, nor me.
So let's get on to the top 20, and we're getting to the elite of the elite. At 20, we've got the Briscoe brothers, so Jack and Jerry. We've got the Starners at 19, the British Bulldogs at 18, the Valiant brothers at 17, 16 is the Blackjacks, 15 is the Holy Demon Army, which is Akira Tao and Toshiaki Kawada. 14 is the Briscoes, Jay and Mark. 13 is the Fabulous Three Birds. 12 is Demolition, and then 11, the Young Bucks. Anything outstanding there for you?
Where do you think I'm going to go with this, Maxie? Where's the thing that you think I'm going to jump on?
I think you're going to be disgusted that the Starners are at 19.
What the fuck is that about, mate? That is... I cannot get my head around that.
And the Bulldogs at 18.
I can't get my head around it. I mean, the Bulldogs being at 18, I could almost accept because of the fact that their prime was so long ago. So whoever's putting together this list might have an age bias, might not have seen so much of them. I could almost tolerate that. The Steiners, and we're talking Monday Night War era, we're talking media all over the place, filming them in Japan, in WCW, and all this stuff. I mean, even the odd match in TNA, I think, much later in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
How are the Steiners at 19?
That
has blown my fucking mind.
It feels like controversy for controversy's sake. And then when you look further down, when you get, and this is low-hanging fruit, when you get the Young Bucks 8 places higher than the Steiner brothers. Now, the Young Bucks, very, very talented at what they do. But above the Steiners, above the British Bulldogs, really? Above Demolition. I mean, Demolition, who were the longest reigning tag team champions for decades, the first 3-time reigning tag team champions. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about the Young Bucks.
What are your thoughts on the Three Birds being at 13 then, Maxie? Because we've had a conversation about the Three Birds in the past, and I know you don't see them as quite as influential as I might do.
This definitely speaks to your era, or not your era so much, but your likes in wrestling.
Okay.
If I knew more about the Freebirds when I was younger and I was watching more, perhaps they'd be high up on my list, but they just weren't a thing in my wrestling sphere. So I just weren't aware of them. But the stuff that we've watched for the show has been really good. And the whole Freebirds rule that they invented, and the rock star images that they've got, that they portrayed, that one of the first wrestling teams to use intro music and all that. Yeah, it's hard to deny their influence, but I wouldn't be able to say they'd make my high up in my list because I just didn't see a lot of them about, which is why I would have such an issue with the 22 being the Kangaroos, or the Fabulous Kangaroos, because as influential as they are, I've never ever heard of them.
So you can only judge what you know, can't you?
Exactly. Or
yeah.
And it feels that a lot of this list has been, they've got 100 tag teams on pieces of paper, and then they've just slotted them in. Yeah, in spaces, which they may well have done, but yeah, it also does feel like there's a lot of being controversial for controversial sake in this.
Maybe.
Right. So let's get to the top 10. Benny's just had in the chat there.
Yes.
Shouldn't Harlem Heat be higher? Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, for
Great
what they
shout,
did for recent or more recent WCW, yeah, I mean, they made Booker T a world champion. It's as simple as that.
With again, because of Nitro Nights, you know, we were like 97 episodes in, and the show is returning. Don't worry. Me and Ben are trying to work out a schedule and look at how we're going to do the show with the limited amount of WCW available on the internet officially. Now there are other ways, but we'll talk about that another time. But Harlem Heat, what I think people forget sometimes, because I definitely forgot, is when you go back and watch their matches week in, week out, as we do on Nitro Nights, bell to bell, they're much better than I remember them being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I look at the two of them, two big, huge, massive, imposing guys, and Sensational Sherry with them is a fantastic addition to the team as well. But bell to bell, they're so much better than I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Really good stuff from them.
Yeah, both super talented wrestlers. I mean, Stevie Ray's wrestling kind of gets overshadowed because of just how monumentally huge Booker ended up being. But he was kind of the glue that stuck that tag team together. He was the Jim the Anvil Nada of their Heart Foundation. It didn't work without those two contrasting styles. Top 10 time. And to be fair, this is essentially just moving pieces about into like just for personal taste. These are 10 of the very best.
Oh, without doubt.
So we've got at 10 the Brainbusters, we've got 9 Edge and Christian, 8 the New Day, 7 the Usos, 6 the Heart Foundation, 5 the Midnight Express, 4 the Hardy Boys, 3 the Rock and Roll Express, 2 the Dudley Boys, and obviously number 1 the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. Is there any there that you think have been harshly judged, or is there any kind of like numbers that you'd like move about? Not on your pick, on this list, on this top 10.
I think the way you said about when you get down to this level, the differences between the teams are so minute, and it's so difficult to put them into a list in this way. Mm-hmm. It comes down to personal opinion. I can make an argument for that being the perfect 10. I can make an argument for the whole 10 needing rearranging. It's there's a lot going on there that I agree with. Some bits, and when we get into our own top 10s in a moment, Magsy, that'll make a bit more sense, I think. But yeah, the fact is, those are 10 fucking incredible teams. Let's be honest.
If you are forming a top 10 of your own, they are definitely 10 teams that would be in the conversation.
100%.
However you would put those 10 together and who else you would bring in and who you would drop out, it's all horses for courses. It's all personal taste. But these are definitely 10 teams that would be in that mix. Now let's have a look at some teams that didn't make the cut. So Apollo 55. Now you're going to say, who were that? So that's Prince Devitt and Taguchi from New Japan. Prince Devitt ended up being Finn Balor, but their split brought on the whole issue of the Bullet Club being a thing. So they are incredibly important to the wrestling world. The Time Splitters, which is another monumental Japanese tag team. Yes, Kushida and is it Matt Sardell, Matt Evanborn?
Look at me with my Japanese wrestling knowledge, Max. You probably
I am, yeah. Red Dragon, which has been mentioned, the Undisputed Era, with multiple time New Japan champions, multiple-time Ring of Honor champions. How did O'Reilly and Bobby Fish not get included? The Headbangers didn't get included. Owen and Yokozuna, Shaw Miz, Jerry Shaw, Rhodes Scholars, the Natural Disasters. That's the one that boiled my piss the most. Braun Strowman and Nicholas, former tag team champions. The Acclaimed. Now, if you're including Private Party, how are the Acclaimed not involved? Then you've got the Mega Cowboys, which is Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. This one, another one that boiled my piss, the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga. How are they not involved? They are multiple-time tag team champions all over the world. Kanemaru and El Despo. I mean, these are just the New Japan ones. We're way more after this. We've got Gedo and Jado, Roppongi, Bullet Club. Then we've got the likes of Aussie Open, who are absolutely outstanding. Golden Lovers were brought in. Killer Elite Squad, which is Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. War Machine, Rhythm and Blues. I mean, they included the Dream Team of. I mean, they were still a big team. The Varsity Club.
The Varsity Club. Yeah, that's a good shape.
American Males. Pretty Wonderful. Totally Buff. Chronic.
Yeah.
Natural Born Thrillers, which was essentially two different tag teams. Heath Slater and Rhino. This one I don't get because they were multiple tag team champions. The Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. How was they not? They're not included. Authors of Pain, the US Express, the Colossal Connection. So that's Andre the Giant and Haku. The Quebecers
not being there, yeah. Oh, the Quebecers, yeah. If you
the
got
Head
Money
Shrinkers
Inc. on there, if you got Money Inc. on there, surely the Quebecers should be on there. Surely.
The Head Shrinkers, the Smoking Guns, the Godwins. If you're including storyline ones, the Rock and Sock Connection, Billy and Chuck, 3 Minute Warning, La Resistance, Evolution, Kane and Murdoch, the Legacy, Triple X, Team Canada, Free Live Crew, LAX, not on there. Just shocking. ABC, so that's Chris Bay and what's the guy called? I've forgotten his name now. Ace Austin, multiple-time tag team champions in TNA, New Japan. Some ridiculously talented teams not included on that list. I'm not saying all of them should be on the list, but when you look at the likes of, again, I'm going to go with Private Party, how a Private Party on the list, then the Smoking Guns not on the list, the Quebecers not on the list, the US Express, how are they not on the list? Just, have you any teams that you were angry that were on the list?
Not really, because I think the majority of the ones that I would have liked to have seen on the list were there, or you've already mentioned here. I was expecting to be cross that a couple missed out, but were actually there. Like Kendrick and London. I was thinking they're not going to make the cut, or they're going to, but they did, which is great. The Quebecers I didn't even think of, and you're spot on about that, Magsy. Some of the teams that are in there, you look at the Quebecers when they had their run, what they were involved in as well. They were involved in the Brett and Owens split.
Yeah.
They were involved in some great matches with the Steiners. They had a lot going on. Was it three-time? Definitely 2-time, potentially 3-time tag champions as well.
I think there were 2. I think they won it twice.
Okay. So yeah,
a huge team. Well, Benny Mac said Undertaker and Kane. They are in it. The Brothers of Destruction. I think they were
higher up, weren't they?
Yeah, 42 they were. Which I think that seems relatively fair. The fact that the Outsiders are one place below them.
And again, I don't want to seem like we're digging out the people who made this list, because it's so difficult to do. As we're going
Yeah,
to
of
sit
course
down
it is.
now and have a look at our top tens and see where we compare. When I put my 10 together, Mags, I literally named all the teams that I believe should be in an argument for greatest tag team of all time, or greatest tag teams of all time, and then realised I had to get 21 teams into a list of 10. And it was really, really hard. It was one of the hardest things I've had to do in a long, long time. It was an incredibly difficult list to make. And I've had to leave out teams that I love in favour of teams that were influential and stuff like that. So my list is going to potentially surprise a few people. But George, should we dive into what you've got first? Because I think I can guess your number one.
I mean, I wear my favorite tag team as a badge of honor, but
Indeed.
At number 10, and I kind of approached it the same way that you did, but because this is my top 10, these are more teams that I have an affinity with, rather than essentially being as influential. That being said, I don't think there's a one team on here that wouldn't be in the conversation to at least be one of the greatest tag teams in the world. But 10, I actually went for the Steiner brothers. I mean, everybody knows that I wasn't a huge WCW watcher. I didn't see a lot of the stuff that they did pre that. So my kind of base for these were when they come to WWF. They were absolutely amazing. But I've gone back and seen their stuff since, and the innovation that they brought to the wrestling world for two guys to be able to do what they did, and especially Scott, how that man could pull off the moves that he did is, they were unreal. They genuinely look like a groundbreaking team. So I think they had to be included for me. At 9 is probably my most out there pick, and it's the Gorillas of Destiny. I feel that these not being on the list of 101 is it's absolutely horrific. These were a big part of why I come back to wrestling in the first place when I was out for such a long time. Watching these do their thing in New Japan and then Ring of Honor, it brought a sense of realness to wrestling for me rather than them being characters. They were real people. And I just really loved that Japanese hard-hitting style, and they were the tag team to watch at that time. So they were definitely a big part of pulling me back in. 8 is a team that I just need.
Oh, you have a Monday night cough. We haven't had many of them, Mags, have we? We haven't had many.
No, to be fair, I've been quite healthy this episode. A team that I know of, but I mean, everybody knows of these. But they were a team that I particularly enjoyed is probably the wrong word, but I was hyped to watch. It's the New Day. Just weren't my thing, but I get what they have done for tag team wrestling, and especially for 3 wrestlers who were kind of floundering at the time to come with a gimmick, which then got over like a fart in church, and then to transition that into being one of the most popular gimmicks that tag team wrestling has ever seen. Props to them, to the point where it elevated at least 2 of them to being world champions. Yeah, you can't fault that whatsoever. 7, Demolition, a huge team from me growing up in wrestling. Their feuds in the early 90s were just some of the best tag team wrestling that I'd ever seen. and I've always got a soft spot for Barry Darso. So yeah, Demolition are in there for me. 6 is Edge and Christian. I was tempted to put these higher because the whole Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys thing I was massively invested.
Loved it.
But they for me, they just seemed like 2 really good wrestlers that were together as a tag team for a while, and they would always break off and do their own things. But you can't fault what they did in that whole kind of trio and how innovative they were as wrestlers. 5, I've gone with the Usos. Again, a team that I could have easily argued a case for them being a lot higher. I think the recent anti-Usos rhetoric is very misguided. Another team that were kind of floundering in their original iteration, but then changed it up and became so innovative as wrestlers. They just became more of a real team. Whereas like the Usos in the paint and like playing up to the crowd, they were great. But when they became the actual Usos and they had the Uso penitentiary and they became more like they are as people, yeah, I thought that they were absolutely superb. 4, the Hart Foundation. I don't think you can have modern day tag team wrestling without the Hart Foundation. They really perfected that opposite styles mix of a tag team with a big bruiser in the Anvil, and then a technically gifted wrestler in Brett. Yeah, they were absolutely superb. 3, the Hardy Boys. Again, with Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys, they made tag team wrestling's the main event. Everybody wanted to watch them. I mean, to the point where both ended up being world champions. Again, it elevated 2 parts to be greater than they were separately. A really just super talented team. 2, and this could have potentially been number 1. The Dudley Boys. Everywhere they went, they were world champions. They were the most decorated tag team for a reason. Absolutely superb. Just a mainstay of that Attitude Era tag team scene. Yeah, I think they're just brilliant wrestlers. And number 1, I don't even really need to give any explanation. For me, it's the Road Warriors. Were they the best at wrestling? Absolutely not. Were they good at looking after their opponents? No, not in the fucking slightest. But it's called the Road Warrior Pop for a reason. They drew you in. You couldn't help but love them as wrestlers. They were just massive characters. Yeah, and I will love them till the day that I die. So number 1 for me is the Road Warriors.
It's a fantastic list, Max. Absolutely fantastic list. Like I said, I had to. There were certain teams on my list that were always going to be part of it. So when I ended up at one point, I think I had like 9 teams going into 2 slots at one point, and stuff like that. It's
I remember you messaging me going, "This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do." Like choosing between your kids.
Ridiculous. So there's going to be teams left out that might surprise people, and there's going to be teams left out that shouldn't be left out. But I can only pick 10. If I could have done the top 20, it'd have been easier. But I can only pick 10. Right. So I've tried to go with, same as you, Magsy, teams that I love watching, that I will go back and watch again and again. I've tried to keep one eye on how much they might influence the business as well. But yeah, okay, so I'll dive straight in. At number 10, I've got the Motor City Machine Guns. 9, I've got the Dudley Boys. 8, I've got the Hardy Boys. 7, I've got the Usos. 6, I've got the Hardy Boys. 5, I've got the Usos. 4, I've got the Dudley Boys. 3, I've got the Hardy Boys. 2, I've got the Usos. 1, I've got the Dudley Boys. 2, I've got the Hardy Boys. 3, I've got the Usos. 1, I've got the Dudley Boys. 2, I've got the Hardy Boys. 3, I've got the Usos. 1, I've got the Dudley Boys. 2, I've got the Hardy Boys. 3, I've got the Usos. 1, I've got the Dudley Boys. 2, I've got the Hardy Boys. 3, I've got the Usos. 1, I've got the Dudley Boys. 2, I've got the Hardy Boys I adore watching the Motor City Machine Guns, and when they were in TNA, especially, they fast became my favorite tag team at that time. Me and Sharon loved watching TNA back then. It was our wrestling show, and the Guns were our team, and they, I mean, the Guns have influenced so many teams in modern wrestling now. With what you see from the Bucks and various other teams like that in AEW, it comes from the Motor City Machine Guns. I just think the Guns always have done it a little bit better. It's a little bit more believable. And number 9, this will surprise a lot of people, the Young Bucks. I think the influence they've had on the business, you can't ignore it. You simply cannot ignore it. They have changed tag team wrestling forever, and they've changed the world of professional wrestling forever, just because of what they've done behind the scenes and in front of the cameras as well. The Bucks, the first God knows how many times I saw them wrestle, not as Generation Me, but as the Bucks in Japan and so on. I sat there with my jaw hitting the floor. I was like, I've never seen a team do stuff like this before. Now, the more I've watched it, the more I realise it gets a bit nonsensical. And now, rather than hitting 10 super kicks, they hit 25, and it's all worn a bit thin. But for the influence they've had on the business, you can't ignore that. You can't. At number 8, now this one might be a bit of a surprise, the Lucha Brothers. I fucking love Rey Fenix. That guy is amazing. I've seen so much pro wrestling in my life. It's very rare that I can sit and watch something or someone new and they do something I have not seen before. Incredibly rare. The Lucha Brothers were doing stuff in tag matches that I had never seen before. And I loved watching them in AEW. They were the highlight for me in AEW so many weeks. So yeah, the Lucha Brothers are number 8 for me. At number 7 is the Hardys, and very similar reasons very similar reasons as the teams I list above. They were doing things I'd not seen before. The influence they had on tag team wrestling that has been copied since. It is, really easy to see, isn't it? You can see their fingerprints all over tag wrestling, the double team moves, the high flying, and so on. Number 6, is the Dudleys. For all the reasons you listed, Max. Just an incredible team wherever they went. Absolutely brilliant. And we're getting more down to, I suppose, the first half of that list was very high flying, very aerial, you really have to suspend your disbelief.
Surprisingly modern for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. You have to really sort of suspend your disbelief when you're watching those teams. When you're getting into the rest of this list, the Dudleys being the starting point, you can believe that's a fight. You can believe a lot of the stuff the Dudleys do. They're beating that guy up. And let's be honest, regardless of, kayfabe being dead or whatever, pro wrestling is supposed to be about making you believe it's real. And I think the Dudleys do that. At number 5, the Hart Foundation. Just so good. Absolutely brilliant. And again, that gist of doing things I've never seen before. The double team moves, the slingshot, simple stuff, but it looks incredible. The slingshot, the top rope, sending Anvil over into a shoulder, a flying shoulder block. The heart attack finisher itself, all that stuff. The Hart Foundation, I think, in an era when tag wrestling was important, the roster was stacked with great tag teams during their run. They still managed to stand out. And I think that shows how good they were. At number 4, Magsy, don't hate me, it's the Road Warriors. Now, I know that's going to be a little bit high.
I just needed a second to decompress then.
Just cut me out this, yeah. I love the Road Warriors, and as a kid, 100% all over that. Hawk Animal, the face paint, the spikes, riding the motorbikes to the ring at Wembley. How can a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid not be a wrestling fan when you see those guys?
Yeah.
But I'm not a 10-year-old kid anymore. And as much as I adore the Road Warriors, and I will go back and watch match after match after match of theirs because it's fucking brilliant. Everything you listed about them means I can't put them above the teams that I have in my top 3. They didn't sell very often, never mind very well. They didn't look after their opponents. As harsh as it sounds, they were a touch one-dimensional, but that one dimension was better than most teams who had 5. But it's not just exactly my taste in wrestling. But still, number 4 is very high, Max. When you look at the teams that are going to be left out of this list,
I'm not actually mad at you having it in number, because we essentially arguing semantics. It's it's hair's breadth between number 1 and number 10. It's just so good.
And for me, numbers 11, 12, 13 as well, you know. At number 3, the Steiners. Because I think especially when you see their stuff in Japan, and if that's not readily available to some people, then I recommend you go and watch Wrestle War 92. Everyone remembers the War Games match, but just before the War Games match, the Steiners take on 2 guys from New Japan. And it's the Road Warriors, but with selling. So that's why it's just a step for me higher. That's all, you know. But they didn't look as cool in any way, shape, or form as the Road Warriors.
They didn't draw as much either.
They didn't. Exactly. And this is where it got really difficult, because one of these teams was always going to be my number 1. And you could ask me the same question tomorrow, and it might be the other way around. And both of them I like for the same reasons. First of all, teams that have not made my list. The Rock and Roll Express are not on my list. As surprising as people may find that, the Freebirds are not on my list, as much as I love the Freebirds.
After the shit you give me for the Freebirds.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. At number 2 is the Midnight Express.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about both of these teams in the same breath. At number 1 is Arn Anderson and Tony Blanchard.
I mean, that was a given. That was fucking.
Yeah.
It was always a given for you. But I'm surprised you picked
the Brainbusters.
Bodacious Bob and Bombastic Bart.
Yeah, that was a tricky one. For me, these guys, they are what tag team wrestling is. They're the heels. They cut the ring off, and you get that really old school tag team psychology.
Yeah.
The one distracts the ref so the other guy can cheat. The fake tags. As the babyface makes the tag, they've got the referee distracted. So, oh no, we didn't actually see the tag, so it doesn't count. So you get the pop from the crowd, but then it resets. Yeah. It's everything that
build
tag
up
wrestling
to a hot tag.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I love it.
Absolutely. So, and I don't think anyone has ever been better at that than the Midnights and Arn and Tully. And separating them is so difficult. I've gone for Arn and Tully above the Midnights purely because they had their WWF run. And the Midnights never made that step.
Mm-hmm.
The Midnights prime was Crockett Promotions, some of the other indies. And of course, they had a spell in WCW, but never quite made that level. But yeah, Arn and Tully, man. And I just wonder what would have happened when Arn went back to WCW if Tully hadn't failed that drugs test. And he'd gone back to, and we could have got more of them. But yeah, that's my list. Yeah, so feel free to argue and kick off and moan.
I
as
can't
much as people like.
Yeah, I mean, I like a good argument, and I also like giving you grief. But when it comes to tag team wrestling, I can't fault your picks, because it doesn't matter the team that's in whichever position. It's the fact that these teams were the very best at telling a story in the wrestling ring. And I've always said the reason why I love tag team wrestling is because it is the easiest way to take a crowd on an emotional journey and tell a story. There doesn't even have to be that much of a build-up before the match, because you've got all the things that you described, the distraction of the referee, the bending of the rules, the hot tag, the baby face in peril, then the fresh man coming in and cleaning house. Everything that I love about wrestling is all there in one style of a match. It's just, for me, tag team wrestling is just brilliant. And
100%.
whether I included them on my 10 or you included them on your 10, those are teams that got the art of tag team wrestling down. So yeah, I can't fault any of your picks.
Great stuff. I mean, big shout out to the Rock and Roll Express. They were fantastic, but they just couldn't. I just couldn't displace anyone else for him, Magsy, just because of personal preference and so on. So yeah.
I mean, did it even enter my mindset? So
yeah,
meh.
no midnights, no rock and roll.
It was
no
they
Iron
were
telly.
they were WCW, NWA, Jim Crockett stuff, and they weren't my cup of tea. Well, they're not that they weren't my cup of tea. I wasn't aware of them when I was as massive a wrestling fan as I was back in today. But yeah, what a brilliant discussion that was. I absolutely loved that.
I really enjoyed it. And it doesn't have to end there, by the way. It doesn't have to end there. Jump on Twitter, message us, and on Facebook at @chain_wrestling.
Well, message Sarah. Don't message me. Message me by all means.
You can.
You can. The messages are open. I don't ever read them. So
we can discuss things further online if needs be. Yes. So, Magsy. Oh, very quickly, we've got a shout from Benny Mac here at the bottom. He says, "What's your T-shirt, Si? It looks cool." Thank you very much, Benny. This is the new Wrestling News Time Machine T-shirt. I can sort of stand up a little bit and show you. There you go. Inspired very much by the Train Spotting format. It is available in the original white with a black writing like the Train Spotting format is, but I'm such a fat man I can't wear white, so that's why I've got the black one. But it says, choose life, choose a time machine, and then it references lots of inside jokes from the show all the way down, and it takes the piss out of the fact that Morty and I, who do that show, are just a pair of fucking idiots. So there we go.
Going back through some of the chat, we have Sharon saying that she loves the Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah, super talented. She always loved the Usos. Yeah, I totally agree. This one, hot tags are a dying art. Yes, Benny. Absolutely yes.
100%, Benny.
It's now become more and more shenanigan based rather than a genuine hot tag, and yeah, that annoys me. And he also put this: did Road Warriors ever take on the APA? I can imagine that being very snug. So I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they ever had a match. I'm sure that they tagged together though. But it was when they were the Acolytes, and did they go up against the Rockers? I'm sure it was someone like the Rockers. And it's absolutely, it's going to annoy me because I have vague memories of them tagging up in a four way, but they never actually had a match. I don't think, but I'm happy to be proven wrong there.
The Road Warriors did wrestle Doom a few times, so Ron Simmons is part of Doom.
That's really not the Acolytes. That's like saying they did wrestle the New Age Outlaws. Yeah, of course they did.
No, hang on. The Acolytes, one half of the Acolytes was Ron Simmons. One half of Doom was Ron Simmons. There's a direct link to what I'm saying. And yes, it was pretty fucking snug, if I remember it correctly.
It's going to annoy me, so fill for time whilst I look this up.
Watch I do a little dance. Anyway, we need to get on, Magsy. We need to get on. Look at the time. We need to link to where we would like to go next. Have you found the information you require?
Yeah. Well, it's from a Reddit post, so it might not exactly be true. But I was right. They did team up, and they faced the Rockers and the Nasty Boys allegedly.
Allegedly, okay.
Yeah.
You sound like you're on this show now saying allegedly, because we say allegedly all the time, because it clears us when we call people nonces.
Allegedly.
Magsy, do we have anything else, or shall we go to our links for next week?
No, we should definitely go to our links for next week. So Mine's pretty simple.
Okay.
Are we going to rate that list first? Do we need to rate the list?
Well,
I'd say it's,
I suppose we should. I don't know, a 6.
yeah. I mean, there were a lot of really good teams on there. I wouldn't have necessarily picked the order, and there were some omissions. 6 is fine. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to my pick. Tag team is the link, and I'm going to go for a match from Backlash 2005, a tag team turmoil match, which saw La Resistance, Tajiri and William Regal, the Heartthrobs, Simon Dean and Maven, and the Hurricane and Rosa, all teams that never made it onto that list in a tag team turmoil match from Backlash 2005.
The Heartthrobs. Holy shit.
Antonio
That's a
and Romeo.
wow, that's like a memory unlocked. Fucking hell. I wish you hadn't. I wish you had stayed back there. But mine is very straightforward as well, Magsy. My link is Tag Team Wrestling. And I took the liberty of guessing correctly, of course, who your number one team would be. Pretty straightforward. I'm not going to fucking lie. The Road Warriors, obviously. And I would like to see them take on my number one team of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. So I Googled when they wrestled. And it did not happen very often. But
Nope.
it did happen at Starrcade 87. So I think I would like to head to Starrcade 87 and watch the Road Warriors beat the piss out of Arn and Tully for 20 minutes.
That sounds like a match made in heaven. So Backlash 2005 or Starrcade, was it 87?
87, yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Only...
It will be found on YouTube. I'll have to share the link if it wins. But yeah.
Now, before we do the sign-offs, let's quickly do a road story. So this one is tag team themed, a tag team that we got mentioned quite a lot over the running of the show. It's the Outsiders, but this is from very early in their careers. So Kevin Nash has told this story, I think, on his podcast, and he said the very first day that he met Scott Hall, they ended up sharing a car going to the next town. And Nash said he was driving and he had Scott in the passenger seat, and that Scott would be continually changing the radio station. But each time he changed the radio station, he delicately brushed his hand across Kevin's thighs. But each time he did it, he would leave his hand there longer and longer every single time. So Kevin Nash had never met Scott before this day, and he was brand new to the business. So he didn't understand what was going on. He didn't know whether he was being ribbed or whether Scott was hitting on him. So Scott goes to change the station one more time, and instead of brushing Nash's leg, he leaves his hand perched on Nash's knee. So Nash, again, just doesn't know what's going on. And he said that they both sat there in absolute stone silence, looking forward, not saying a word to each other. Then Scott ups the ante, and his hand starts to slide down into Nash's inner thigh. Nash then is starting to sweat, and he's getting to the point where he's got to decide, am I going to punch Scott Hall now, or am I getting out of this car and running? So they sit there for what seems like an age, when finally Scott Hall breaks the silence, and he says to Kevin, "Are you not going to say anything, or are you, and these were his words, a fucking faggot? They both end up laughing about it, obviously realizing it was a rib. And it turns out that Scott Hall had this very same rib pulled on him by Kurt Hennig when it was his first day on the road. So it was a passed down rib from Kurt Hennig to Scott, and then Scott to Kevin Nash.
Yeah, brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, choice of wording there, awful from those guys, of course.
Yeah.
But absolutely brilliant. Class. And of course, Kurt Hennig's at the bottom of it. Of course. Magsy, wonderful stuff, my friend. I suppose all that we can do now is just say, where can people find you online? Or should we dive through the chat? Have we got anything in there?
We've got this, and
no,
it would have to be.
No, shut up, Benny.
I mean, I would be happy with either pick. Probably most yours because of just how influential the two tag teams were. But
and you know, it's just going to be Arn and Tully selling their asses off as the Road Warriors beat the shit out of them.
I have never seen the match, but I actually will watch the match whether it wins or not.
Awesome stuff.
First of all, thanks to everyone for sticking through this. It's been a bumper episode, but it's genuinely been one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done because we've got to discuss
great. Loved it.
a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I absolutely loved it. Thanks for all your input, all your tag teams for the non-wrestling topic, all you people in the chat. Absolutely amazing. Just brilliant. You can find me on TikTok at Podfarmer Mags, where you'll see chicken and duck videos, Manjaro, weight loss. Those are for only ducks. He's a randy little sod, that duck. I do also have an X, but I don't use it apart from for this show, so there's really no point you following me there. But you can, and that's Podfather Mags.
There we go. Awesome stuff. You can find and follow me via the network that carries this show. So that's at SJP World Media on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, and all those places. And also search SJP World Media on all your podcast players, platforms, and providers, and it will bring up the main feed where you will find all the shows that are on the network. So that includes this one, first of all, Nitro Nights, looking at WCW week by week, due a return very, very soon. On a Wednesday, we have The Waiting Room, looking at Quantum Leap, Benny Mac in the chat there, and myself looking at the old science fiction time travel show. Speaking of time travel, on a Monday, we have the Doctor Who pod with Dan Griffin and myself, but it's not just me, so if you're sick and tired of my voice, which you probably are, there's far more talented and able hosts giving you shows every day of the week. Matt Lewis with his mate Connor looking at Callum, looking at chronic illness and professional wrestling on two separate shows there. We have, oh my word, Morty doing Wrestling News Time Machine on a Friday as well with myself. That's a good crack as well. So much going on the network. It's too difficult to list. Tyler Peters doing Tyler Talks Music and Tyler's Takedowns, looking at wrestling and music, two separate shows there. So much going on the main feed. So dip your toe into all the shows and decide what you like. And once you have, you can go off into their own streams for each show and just pick out what you want to listen to. And that includes the stream for this particular show itself, which you can find by searching at @chain_wrestling on all your podcast players, platforms, and providers, and of course on Twitter, X, Blue Sky, Facebook, etc., etc. Your non-wrestling topic and your poll will be up on Twitter, so make sure you're finding and following us there as well at @chain_wrestling. That gets longer every week, Mags. I might have to make a little pre-recorded bit and just play it there instead.
Yeah, I mean, you could do. I think you'd miss doing it, though.
I don't know. Because I always think I've forgotten someone. Because I've not got any of that written down. I always think at the end, who have I forgotten? I know there's someone. I've forgotten somebody. But there you go. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, getting involved in the non-wrestling topic, in the chat, voting in the polls, and so on. We will see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Cross my heart. Hopefully so. Magsy, I'm off now to take my empty Guinness cans to the recycling because I'm a very, very good boy and I want to save the planet. I'll speak to you next week, my friend.
Wyndham is the Janetta of the US Express.
The Heart Prince.